All right, in this section, I'm going to go 16 to 30. I'm still doing the second quarter assessment practice test. So it's number 16. Given the diagram, which line must be parallel, and you are given M is parallel to P, M is parallel to N, R is parallel to S, and N is parallel to P. So we wanted to determine which lines are going to be parallel. So if you guys remember from parallel lines, we have to have two angles that needs to be congruent, or we have to have two angles that add up to 180 degree for us to even consider. So we know 108 and 108 are congruent, but the congruent angles are going to be your corresponding angles. Alternate interior and alternate in exterior angles are your congruent angles. So in this case, when you look at these two lines, R and S, 108 is here, another 108 is here. They don't have a common transversal. So I know for sure M and N, I cannot say they are going to be parallel, or R and S are going to be parallel. This line is not going to be parallel to this one because of this reason. So I know R with S. So R is S cannot be proven because of they don't share the same parallel line. So the next one I have a 108 and I have a 72. So I know when I put 108 plus 72, it would give me 180, but the two angles should be consecutive interior or exterior. So I have to find out which one is going to be that angle. So in this case, for it to be consecutive interior, so I have 108, so I know this is going to be 108, right? Because they're vertical angle, I know this is going to be 108. So looking at it, R is a transversal that has both, and you can tell that M and angle P and the transversal R is the one that is creating the two angles, the 108 and the 72, which add up to 180. So in this case, the lines that are going to be parallel would be M and P. So you just have to be careful in this type of triangles. Make sure the two angles that we're talking about have a common angle that they share, or a common transversal that they share. All right, so this question is similar to what we just went over. What is the measure of angle 8? So this is what they wanted to find. And on top of here, they told you that R, angle 4 and angle 5 are going to be congruent. They're going to be the same length. And angle 6 and angle 7 will be congruent. And they also told you that L and M are going to be parallel. So just knowing that line L is parallel to line M, they have a transversal that is T. You know that these two angles have to be supplementary, right? Have to be 180 degree because they're consecutive angles. And if I want these two to be together, to be congruent, so that's another thing that they gave you. So knowing that they need to add up, so if I add angle 4 plus angle 5 plus angle 6 plus angle 7 needs to equal to 180, right? Because of the consecutive interior angle. And I also know that this triangle here has to equal to 180 degrees. So I know angle 5 plus angle 6, right? That's what I have here. Yeah, angle 6 plus angle 8 need to equal to 180 degree because it's a triangle. Okay, so the sum of the two have to be equal to 180 degree because it's a triangle. Okay, so because of that, you know 4, 5, 6, and 7 have to equal to 180. 5 and 6 are the same here. So 4 plus 7 need to be the same as angle 8. So then you can tell, okay, then the two need to be congruent, which makes those two equal to each other. So for two angles to be congruent, this needs to be a 90-degree angle, this needs to be a 90-degree angle combined, which makes each 45, 45, 45, and 45. So these two angles are going to be congruent, and which leaves this to be a 90-degree angle. Okay. All right, number 18. Given A is 2, -4, and B is 1 and 0, as the coordinates of point A and B, what is the slope of AB? So you guys should know by now the formula for slope is what? Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. And one thing I always say is make sure you label your X1 and Y1, X2, Y2. Then all you have to do is just plug it in and find out what it is. Number 19, given A and B as the coordinate of point A, which is slope of line parallel to AB. So if you guys remember from Unit 3, the last thing we did, we talked about that parallel lines have same slope, right? Same slope. So knowing that, the same thing what we did with number 18, find the slope of AB by using y2 minus y1, and then it's going to be the same slope, which is the equation of the line that passes through -3 and 4 and is perpendicular to it. So this is my point I'm going to start with, and my line is going to be perpendicular to this equation. So if you guys remember from, again, Unit 3, parallel lines have the same slope, but perpendicular lines, if they are like this, the slopes is going to be a negative reciprocal. So if one is A over B, the perpendicular would be negative B over A. So in this case, I have 1/3 rise of my slope. So the line that's going to be perpendicular to it would be the reciprocal of 3 over 1, which is -3 over 1. So one has to be positive, the other one has to be negative. So for it to be, so I know it has to be -1/3, right, as the slope. So I know it's not going to be A, and I know it's not going to be D. So -3 over 1 is what it needs to be. So it's going to be either B or C. So in this case, you have two options of doing it. One is, you know it's going to be -3 and 1. It needs to go through this point. So what you can do is, okay, you can test B. So you can say, okay, Y coordinate for this is 4. The X coordinate is -3. So when you plug in this, it needs to be equal. So I'm going to say 4 equals -3 times -3 plus 8. So if this equation is the same, then we pick B. If not, then we have to try C. So -3 times -3 gives you +9 plus 8. This add up to 17. It's not going to be equal to 4, right? So then you know it's not going to be 4. It's not going to be B. Just to make sure we got the right answer, we're going to try C. So C, I'm going to replace the Y by 4, the X by -3. So I have, so let me do it here. 4 equals -3 times -3 minus 5. So you know -3 times -3 is +9. Minus 5 gives you 4, which is the same as this one. Then you can do it that way. That's one way, since they already gave you the choice. The other way is you can say, okay, you can use y equals mx plus b4. You already know the slope is going to be -3, right? So slope is -3. X coordinates be -3. The y coordinate is going to be 4. I don't know what b is, but I know this is going to be 4, right? Take with 4 equals -3 times -3 is 9 plus b. So you minus 9 from both sides. 4 minus 9 is -5 equals to b. See how I know the slope is -3 and I know my b is -5. So both ways you guys get to the right answer. So pick whichever one is easier for you. All right, number 21. This one is tricky. All right, so in this number 21, ACB is congruent to DBC. Knowing that, I know AC, which is this line, is congruent to BD or DB, this line, and CB is congruent to itself. That's common for both. And AB, I should use a different code. AB is going to be congruent to DB. I also know that this angle here and this angle is going to be congruent to each other. And I also know that this angle here is going to be congruent to this one. And of course the vertical angle we have. But to prove two triangles are congruent, I can use side, 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 angle, side, or angle, side, angle, or AAS. So I already know the two angles here, the green one and the black one here, and this green line is congruent to both sides. And the same thing with this one. So I know this triangle here, AEB, is going to be congruent to DEC. So that's the one you have to pick. All right, next is number 22. Which triangle below is not congruent to the other three triangles? I think we did this, but just to make sure, you want to know the missing angle. So you have to do 72 plus 41 plus x equals to 180, so just subtract it. So this would be 67. So 67 here, and have 67, 41, have 72 here, 67, 72, 41 here, and 67, 41. Sorry about that. All right, so you can see where the 10 is located between which two numbers, or what is it opposite to. So 10 is opposite to 61. Here, 41, I'm sorry. 10 is opposite to 72 here, 41 here, and 41 here. So you can clearly see one of them is different. So that's the one that's not going to be congruent. All right, number 23 says given ABC is congruent to X, Y, Z, and using the coordinate given below for ABC, which is the length of X, Z. So this is a very easy one, but you have to do distance formula. You know XZ is the same as AC, right? From A to C, this length. So they're going to be congruent. So go ahead, find the distance of AC using your Pythagorean theorem. Since we just went over it, you can do A squared, B squared, then the blue line is going to be your C squared, which is the same length as your XZ. And I'm sure you guys can do that by yourself, right? All right, number 24, we went over this a lot. I think this is the one you have to type in the answer. For what value X will make ABC congruent to FDE? I like to make mine color-coded, so I know AB is going to be congruent to FD. The reason I do it this way, because sometimes the orientation of the triangle might be different. So AB and FD will be the same. You can see they're both 7. And BC, which is 13 here, is going to be the same as DE. And DE is here. So all you have to do is make those two equations equal to each other. 13 equals to 2x plus 13, and you can easily solve for x. And that's what the question is asking, to solve for x. 25, this one is a little bit, might be time consuming. You have to separate the two triangles. So take your time, separate the triangles, and try to figure it out. If not, we'll go over it again when we do in class review. Okay. All right, 26. It's this one is asking you the mistake. Okay. Which one? There's an error in the construction, and you're supposed to figure out the error. So take your time, read it, and you should be able to find it. So one hint I can give you is just look at the angles. 80 is the largest angle. Opposite to it is what? 6. The smallest angle is 30, or the medium one is 70. I think that's the one you have to and opposite from it. So that's a good hint for you guys to figure it out, the error. All right, 27 is a ratio question. In addition to the information given in the drawing, which statement would be sufficient to prove that the two triangles are similar? So remember, if I'm talking about similarities, there's only three of them, right? Side, side, side similarity, side, angle, side similarities, and AA similarities. So you need to make sure what you have is enough to make sure that you use one of them. So it's obviously none of the angles are given. So I can't use AA similarities, or I can use side angle side. So I can do 14 over 7 equals AC over 4. And you can clearly see that it is doubled, right? So you guys can find. Then you can do BC over 9. So find those lanes and you'll be able to find the answer. All right, number 28. Which piece of information would prove that the two triangles are congruent? See, this one, they give you a side, an angle, right? So you got a side, angle, side. So you need side, angle, side. So I'll solve for this side by doing 3 over 9 equals 7 over x. And you should be able to find it. Well, they say C and G are congruent. That can also be a piece of information would prove that the two triangles are similar. So B can also be used because B is congruent to F. I can also use that. All right, so this is the question that I feel like it can be A, it can be B, or it can be, oh, it's multi-select. I think so, right? Because if it has E, yeah, it's multi-select. So you have to pick, and it can also be CB over GF if it is proportional to AB over EF. Well, this is not going to tell us if it's going to be, yeah. So it's going to be, can either be A, which knowing this is 21, then you can do side, angle, side. But knowing that the angles are congruent is going to help you to say AA similarities. Okay. So I didn't know this was multi-select question. Sorry about the confusion. All right, this is your favorite one, right? So I did this on the video that for the similar triangles. All right, so to be able to solve for this one, you have to do the distance of MA, you have to do the distance of AT, and you have to do the distance of MT, then do ratio with X, Y, Z, and you should be able to figure it out. But if you need help, go look at it on similar triangle video. There's one question I did for the practice one. All right, so the last one is I'm trying to get it below 20 minutes. Perimeter of PQR, the bigger one is 32.5. The smaller one, TSU, is 13. Which is the scale factor for the following pair of similar triangles? Since they gave you the perimeter, you can just take 32.5 divided by 13 and find the scale factor. So we can do alpha y equals to, alpha, no, let me get out of this one. So alpha y equals, it gives you the fraction form. So I'll put 32.5 over 13. Press enter, 2.5. And let's see what the choice I have. 2.5, which is D 5.2. Okay, so that's it, guys. We wish you all the best. Make sure you finish and try to get 100% on your practice test. And next class we see you, you guys will be taking the quarter 2 assessment, and we expect a great result from you. Have a great day.